Coming up on 5 Minute News. Police officer who murdered Breonna Taylor hired as deputy. Conspiracy theorist Tucker Carlson fired by Fox. And Proud Boys viewed themselves as Trump's army he has caught. It's Tuesday, April 25. I'm Anthony Davis. A former Louisville police officer who fired the fatal shot that killed Breonna Taylor has a new job in law enforcement, a controversial hiring that drew protesters to a rural Kentucky county northeast of the city. The Carroll's County Sheriff's Office confirmed the employment of Miles Cosgrove, who was fired from the Louisville Metro Police Department in January 2021 for violating use of force procedures and failing to use a body camera during the raid on Taylor's apartment. About a dozen people showed up in downtown Carrollton Monday morning to object to his hiring, holding signs and chanting, "Cosgrove has to go." Investigators said that Cosgrove fired 16 rounds into the apartment after Taylor's front door was breached during a narcotics raid on March 13, 2020. Thinking an intruder was breaking in, Taylor's boyfriend fired a shot from a legal handgun at the officers. Officer Jonathan Mattingly was struck in the leg, and the officers returned fire, killing Taylor in her hallway. Neither officer was charged by a 2020 state grand jury in Taylor's death, and a 2-year investigation by the FBI also cleared Cosgrove and Mattingly of any charges. The FBI probe found that other superior officers had crafted a faulty drug warrant that contained false information about Taylor. Robert Miller, chief deputy in Carroll County, pointed out that Cosgrove was cleared by the state grand jury when speaking of his hiring at the small Kentucky Sheriff's Department. In November, the Kentucky Law Enforcement Council voted not to revoke Cosgrove's state peace officer certification. That meant he could apply for other law enforcement jobs in the state. There is no national database of officers who resign or are fired in misconduct cases, meaning in many cases they can apply for jobs in other police agencies and departments. The far-right conspiracy theorist host Tucker Carlson has left Fox News, it was abruptly announced yesterday. Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have agreed to part ways, the network said in a statement. Meanwhile, the $787 million settlement between Fox News and Dominion Voting Systems spared executives and on-air talent from taking the stand in a defamation lawsuit that centered on Fox airing false claims of a stolen election in the weeks after former President Donald Trump's 2020 loss. The lawsuit still revealed plenty of what Fox personalities had been saying about the bogus election claims, including Tucker Carlson. His unexplained departure has turned a spotlight on what he said in depositions, emails and text messages among the thousands of pages Dominion released in the lead-up to jury selection in the case. Carlson's messages lambasted the news division and management, revealed how he really felt about Donald Trump, and demonstrated his skepticism of the election lies. So much that Fox attorneys and company founder Rupert Murdoch held him up as part of their defense of the company. The judge who oversaw the case ruled that it was crystal clear none of the election claims related to Dominion were true. Carlson's exit was also related to negative comments about Fox management revealed in the Dominion case, The Washington Post and Wall Street Journal reported. In his climb to the top of the Fox ratings, Carlson relied on xenophobia and stowed white fears about America's changing demographics. Carlson has embraced the Great Replacement theory, the idea that Jews and Democrats want to replace white people with non-white voters. After the murder of George Floyd by police officers in 2020, he belittled Black Lives Matter protesters as criminal mobs. Carlson has also downplayed the January 6 insurrection, recently airing selectively edited footage as he tried to frame the attack as peaceful. Ready for all-out war, leaders of the far-right Proud Boys extremist group viewed themselves as foot soldiers fighting for Donald Trump, as the former president clung to power after the 2020 election, a prosecutor said yesterday at the close of an historic trial over the U.S. Capitol insurrection. After more than 3 months of testimony, jurors began hearing attorneys' closing arguments in the seditious conspiracy case, accusing Proud Boys national chairman Enrique Tarrio and 4 lieutenants of plotting to forcibly stop the transfer of power from Trump to President Joe Biden. The Proud Boys were lined up behind Donald Trump and willing to commit violence on his behalf, prosecutor Conor Mulrow told jurors. These defendants saw themselves as Donald Trump's army, fighting to keep their preferred leader in power no matter what the law or the courts had to say about it. One of Tarrio's lawyers is expected to address jurors today when the trial resumes for a second day of closing arguments. The Justice Department has already secured seditious conspiracy convictions against the founder and members of another far-right extremist group, the Oath Keepers. But this is the first major trial involving leaders of the far-right Proud Boys, a neo-fascist group of self-described Western chauvinists that remains a force in mainstream Republican circles. You can subscribe to the 5-Minute News Patreon for bonus videos, commentary, and more. Go to patreon.com/5-Minute News.